Hi guys, welcome back to another video of my deck collection. This is the third and final one for my tarot collection specifically. There will be two other videos coming out that will be for my my oracle. So I'm just gonna try and make these kind of quick. So I'm just gonna get on with it. So the first one here we have is the Star Child Tarot. This is by Danielle Noel. This was gifted to me by a really good friend of mine. She passed it along to me, and I love this deck. I also have the Moonchild, as you guys probably saw in my last deck collection video, which I really near and dear to my heart. This one is a little bit different, but I still really enjoy it. And it has that otherworldly feel to it, that cosmic feel that I'm sort of all about being an Aquarius. I feel like this deck speaks to my little Aquarian soul, so I really enjoy it very much. And Danielle Noel, she has such wonderful artwork. I love this moon card. And her guidebooks are incredible for the decks that she creates. So that is the Star Child. The next up is another one that is very special to me, in which I really fell in love with it. I fell in love with the theme of it, everything that it does, the artwork, and just what the kinds of readings I get out of this deck. This is the Dark Days Tarot, and this one was also gifted to me so very kindly by the creator, Ren Murdo. She is another Pacific Northwesterner. I love this full card, being a mother myself. And I really love this deck. There's parts of it that are cute, there's parts of it that are deep, there's parts of it that get you thinking. There's just so much here, and I really found myself connecting to it on a very deep level. I tend to go to this deck for a lot of my spiritual questions about my spiritual path or ways in self-healing. I tend to do like new moon and full moon readings sometimes with this deck. I just really love it so much, and it just is one that I think really speaks to my heart in a lot of ways. So I'm very grateful for it, and it's been a very wonderful tool in my practice. The next one is one that I have a few thoughts on. This is the Ghosts and Spirits Tarot. This is by Lisa Hunt. I like this deck. The artwork, there's a lot to, but my one big thing is I really would like to have a larger guidebook, because I love stories, myths, lore, and I specifically really like ghost stories and stuff. Some of these I recognize, but some of them I don't. And I just want to know the stories behind these. I really want to know the stories behind these and why they were chosen for these specific cards. Like this one, I know who this is. This is Yuki Onna. This is a ghost story from Japan. And I said, some of them I know, some of them I don't, and I want to know. But the guidebook doesn't give me enough, and I really wish that it did. Because I'd like to know more. So that's my only thought on this one, but it's a really cool deck, especially for the lore attached to it. I love stuff like that. So let's go Ghosts and Spirits. This next one is one that I think we've all kind of seen, but I'm going to share it. This is new somewhat to me. This is the Druid Craft Tarot. I've completely trimmed mine. I didn't put the titles back on because honestly, I'm using this as kind of an experiment to test my intuition. So I don't think I'm going to write the titles back onto this one. But I just love the earthy presence of this deck. And to be perfectly honest, I had the Wildwood Tarot and I didn't connect with it. So I gifted it to a friend and I ended up picking up this one. And I like it a lot better. I like it because it's similar to Rider-Waite, but like I said, it has that very like grounding, earthy energy to it. And I tend to reach for it when I need that. I tend to reach for it when I need more earth energy, I've noticed. And I really, really like that about it. So I think this one's going to be a keeper. I think this is what I was looking for when I initially grabbed the Wildwood Tarot, but it just didn't work out for me because the Wildwood Tarot is very different and it has a very different system. So yeah, that is the Druidcraft Tarot. The next one also has a very earthy energy to me, but it also has a lot of mystical energy, and it's just a deck that I find has a gentleness to it too. This is the Crystal Visions Tarot. I trimmed this off. I also edged it in purple. And I kind of like the fantasy aspect to it, but it's still very Rider-Waite-Smith. I initially ended up getting this because I didn't want to get Rider-Waite-Smith, but I wanted something kind of similar. But I still love it. I mean, I love it. It's so wonderful. And it has this kind of peaceful energy, but at the same time, it very much has the energy of where I think it would tell you what you needed to know without sugarcoating. Where there are other decks I find that have a more gentle energy, and I do think this one does. I'm kind of rambling at this point about it, but this is one that you can't go wrong with this deck. You really can't. It's beautiful, and it looks so much better trimmed. Those white borders were driving me nuts. So that is the Crystal Visions Tarot. The next one I love because it makes me feel like home. This is the Anima Mundi, and it reminds me of Washington. As weird as that may be, it really does. Specifically, I don't think I'm going to find it in here, but the King of Cups, which is the Knight of Cups, is an Orca, and I'm very, very connected to Orca. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest, and I remember seeing them in the wild there. They're a very spiritual animal to me. But this deck reminds me of Washington quite a bit, just for the scenes that you see in it, the animals that you see in it, for instance, those guys, and the trees. I don't know. See, like this one right here, this definitely makes me think of Washington in the Pacific Northwest, and I just really fell in love with this deck because of that, because it reminds me of home. I don't know why. I mean, I do. I just described why, but oh, for goodness sakes. But I love it. I love it so much, and it's very comforting to me because it has that presence of home. So that is the Anima Mundi. I was hoping to find that card there, but nope. King of Cups eludes me. The next one is another one that I kind of have some thoughts on, but it's still a really amazing deck. This is the Ancestral Path Tarot. My only two thoughts are it's massive and I can't shuffle it very well. And the other thing is that it, the guidebook is subpar to what the stories are. And I really, once again, want something that has more to it. For what these stories are, and I want to know more about, you know, where these came from. Let's see, I'm trying to find, but what really got me in this deck, oh, here we go, is the fact that the Suit of Swords is the Japanese myths and legends. So these are Izanami and Izanagi. These are the two deities that created the islands of Japan. And I just think it's so cool because I know their myths, and you know, it just made me happy to see that depicted in a tarot deck because I hadn't ever seen that before. And I think the other one that really, really got to me was this Two of Swords. Oh, this Two of Swords. This Two of Swords is everything. It's just so good. I have a geisha tattooed on my arm, so naturally I was really excited to see that. Memoirs of a Geisha is one of my favorite books. And then you have the Arthurian legend with Arthur and Guinevere and Lancelot, which also of Morgan was really, really fun to see. My youngest son is named Arthur, so another little fun tidbit about me and loving these stories. And that's the reason why I wanted to get this deck, is because it had these stories in it. And then it also has, the wands are Egyptian stories, and then the pentacles are Native American. And I just want to know more about these stories. Oh, but the guidebook just doesn't give me enough. So that's the thing that I have, the gripe I have about that, aside from it being like so massive. So that is the Ancestral Past Tarot. The next one is one that I have had for quite some time, and I read with it solely on its own for a good year and a half before I started to add more to my tarot collection. This is the, oops, I'm doing that backwards again. Sorry guys. This is the Wild Unknown Tarot. This is by Kim Krans, as you guys all know. Everybody's seen this deck. I pre-ordered this when it became available for mass market because I was not going to try and get it indie. And I love this deck. But as my knowledge of the tarot grew, I found that there were more cards in here that I just kind of wished were maybe done a little differently. And I almost thought about passing this deck along. But then I decided to read with it again. And it was like talking to an old friend. So I was like, alright, obviously, like, I can't get rid of it. And I just love it. And I think it just needs to be here with me. And I really do respect Kim Krans a lot. I enjoy her artwork, and she has just put out so much into the world for her artistic expression. So, I just think that this deck needs to be here. It has a place in my practice. The next one I got for kind of more fun. This is what's this called? The Celestial Tarot. This is really cool because it has the constellations. But the other cool thing is the core cards. Once again, you see this theme of winter, summer, spring, and fall. But it also has the associations, the astrological associations for the majors too. So I thought it was really fun, like combining astronomy, astrology, and tarot together. Just things that I've always been interested in, so to have the combination of them was just really, really fun. So I enjoy this deck quite a bit just because it has those, and once again makes my little Aquarian heart sing. I wish I could find my card. It was the astrological card for Aquarius is the star. So that is the Celestial Tarot. I love all things celestial and star and moon. Oh, where are my cards? These ones are a little slippery. The next one is another one that I did not ever see myself picking up. And then I did, and my life took a very interesting turn when this deity kind of popped into my life. Now she hangs out on my altar for the dead. This is the Santa Muerte Tarot. I have been working with this deck lately too because I've been drawn to it. This is another one, as I mentioned, much like the Ophidia Rosa, where I tend to pull for it when we are in transition seasons. So we're in spring or fall. It's strange, but oh, this deck is so good. And it's so well illustrated. It's just so awesome. There's so much here, and I really, really get a lot out of the readings that I get with this deck. The card backs are really pretty too. And I don't know, just something about it speaks to me in a way that I don't even really fully understand. And even how I ended up getting this deck and kind of how this all came into my life, it was just very interesting. And I'm almost wondering if maybe it has something to do with a past life. That's my inkling, so I've been tempted to use my other past life deck to see if maybe I can figure that out. But that is the Santa Muerte Tarot. And the last and final one is the newest to my collection, which you will find is not shuffled because I have not worked with it yet. I've only had it for a couple of days. This is the Modern Witch Tarot. I was not sure how I would feel about this deck. I'm not super big on modern decks, but this is a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, so that's one thing I really enjoyed about it. The one gripe that I tend to see people have with this deck is that there tend to be no male figures in it, but I actually really like the fact that there are transgender figures, so I look at that as male figures. For instance, the Emperor there, that could be someone who identifies as male. But this deck is very inclusive, that aside from some of the complaints of no male figures. But there is a lot of diversity, body positive, a lot of modern themes to it. And I just thought it was really interesting to see Rider-Waite-Smith done this way. And I just think that this might be something that might be really fun to experiment with, seeing Rider-Waite-Smith through this lens of the modern world. And I think this was kind of really the only modern deck aside from Lightseers that I could kind of connect to and maybe even be interested in. I looked into This Might Hurt and it wasn't really my thing, so I ended up getting this one instead, just because this one kind of was a little bit more of what I was looking for, especially because I tend to I liked the artwork better in this one than This Might Hurt. I know This Might Hurt is really popular, and it's obviously nothing against the artist, of course, or those who love that deck. It just wasn't for me. But I love this Ace of Cups so much. It's so cute. I think this will be fun. This will be a fun one to really kind of look at tarot through, like I said, the lens of the modern world, which is not something I've really been able to do yet. It's not something I've experimented with yet, so that's why I ended up picking up this one. And we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I have not worked with it yet, so I'll let you guys know once I do. I love this Queen of Cups. And kind of what I think of it. I might do a review, who knows, but yeah, that is the Modern Witch Tarot. So guys, that concludes my tarot deck collection. That is all that I have for you, and stay tuned for my Oracle deck collection. I hope you guys enjoyed watching these videos, and as always, blessed be.